Okay. Hi, baby. We're about to read a book. So we're reading Spark by Anissa Ramirez. Anissa Ramirez actually made a trip to our library to promote the book. So we went to the bookstore and bought a copy. So this is Spark, Jim West's Electrifying Adventures. I hope you guys can see it. I know the baby's like in the way.
Now move!
Jim West's Electrifying Adventures in Creating the Microphone. Okay. Goodness. Jim West's brain was crowded with questions. On his grandmother's Virginia farm, he could be found by the well, under the house, or on a branch.
Hey, Mom, what happened?
We're recording this for YouTube. Imagination was quick like lightning. Every 5 minutes, he had a new idea. But no one around him seemed to appreciate them. When Jim was indoors and couldn't move around, all those questions bubbling inside of him began to build. It didn't take long before they burst out of him. How did his toy work? How did his little brother's toy work? And how did his grandfather's pocket watch tick? Often he got answers to those questions with help from his screwdriver. When you pop it open and figure it out. Whenever an adult found something disassembled in the house, it wasn't long before Jim heard a voice calling out his name. A punishment was coming. It happened every time. Even so, he had to know how things worked. One August day while Jim was out walking, he saw an old radio that someone had thrown out. He grabbed it and rushed home. Inside the radio lived a nest of wires, skyline vacuum tubes, and a cone that vibrated in and out to make sounds. Jim tinkered and searched. Jim tinkered. Okay, Jim tinkered and searched for how to fix it. Then he bounced onto the bed holding the frayed cord. When he plugged it in, zap! Electricity zipped through the cord and to his hand and to his arm, to his chest, to his feet, to the bedpost, and then to the floor. He couldn't get his fingers to let go. Ooh, he got electrocuted, y'all. His older brother saw him and pushed him off the bed. Afterward, a lot of frames back then were made of metal. Afterward, Jim said he wasn't scared. He learned electricity had done this to him. Now he had to know all about it. Goodness grief. Got electrocuted.
Go to the light on my ear.
Guys, I didn't know it was doing one right in front of your ear.
His Aunt Dorothy gave him a book about electricity. Jim read that his new hero, Ben Franklin, flew a kite in a storm. Franklin figured out that clouds were full of electric charge. And when they couldn't hold any more lightning, lightning flashed out of them. Jim asked his grandmother if he could fly a kite in a storm too. Of course, she said it was too dangerous.
Mommy?
He told him it was too dangerous. He listened to her, but this didn't stop him from daydreaming about flying a kite under the crackle of lightning one day. Man. Jim didn't wait too long to explore this new world of electricity. In high school, he and his friends snuck into the telephone company's storage lot and took out phones and wires. They wanted to create a telephone system between their homes so that they could talk all the time. When Jim made the final connection, the phone didn't even hum. Voices didn't move through the wire because there was no electricity to carry them. Jim forgot to connect a battery. A battery would give his telephones the electricity they needed by pumping electric charge through the wires. Charge would start from one end of the battery and flow to the other side. But before Jim could install a battery, the telephone company found out. His father ordered him to take those wires down. Dang. Trying to stop this kid from being raped.
Good.
Okay,
Mommy,
what?
is this all real?
This is, yeah, a real story. Like, it really happened.
Like you really got electrocuted for
He
real?
really got electrocuted for real with real electricity. You should probably hold it for, because the microphone is gonna be covered. Because I think the microphone is down here somewhere. All right. With thoughts of electricity zipping through his mind, Jim told his parents he wanted to go to college to study science. They tried to talk him out of it because they felt that it was impossible for an African American to work as a scientist. His parents had seen this firsthand. Jim's mother studied math at the Langley Aeronautical Laboratory. She used big calculators to figure out flight paths and space orbits. But she was fired when her bosses discovered that outside of work, she was also a civil rights organizer. Jim's father was a Pullman porter for the railroad and knew 3 Black chemists who had to work as mailmen because no laboratory would hire them. Jim's father told him that if they wanted to study science, he would have to do it on his own. His father wouldn't pay for it. Studying science was Jim's
Mommy, Amigo's hand is out the way.
Studying science was Jim's dream. His parents wanted to forget it. He couldn't. He loved it too much. His dream was bigger than all those negatives. Jim left Virginia and headed to college in Philadelphia. In his science class, he was the only 2 Black students. He saved money by staying with distant relatives and earned money by repairing broken televisions. While at school, Jim saw an ad for a summer job at Bell's Labs, the home of inventions like gadgets or telephones and computer parts called transistors. At Bell Labs, he'd be encouraged to take things apart, unlike when he was a boy back in Virginia. Jim got the job. The Bell scientists had a project for him. They created headphones, but the sound coming out was too quiet. The headphones would be no use for their experiments unless Jim could fix them. Jim didn't know much about headphones, so he dashed to the library and read lots of books. This gave him an idea. Guys, all the children done ran away because they don't want to listen to the story, y'all.
I'll listen.
Okay.
I'm good.
I had someone holding the phone, but now they done quit and gave up. Jim drew a plastic drum with a slice of metal next to it. He had to figure out how to make the drum move in and out. These vibrations would make a sound. He knew that opposite charges moved toward each other and charges that were the same moved apart. His plan was to use electricity to give charge to the drum and to give opposite charge. He learned that if he kept changing the charge of the metal and made it sometimes the same as the drum and sometimes the opposite, the drum would move away from the metal and then move closer. When the plastic drum moved in and out like that, those vibrations would make a sound. This is how his headphones would work. Okay. Jim built his new headphones and then tested them with strange-looking scientific instruments that took hours and hours to learn. He practiced until he got it. It was hard work, but understanding new things always made Jim buzz. When all was connected, goodness grief, y'all, they done left me doing so many things at once with.
I feel it.
No, I don't have nobody to help me hold the phone because you were helping me, but you quit. Beep. It worked. Bell Labs was the playground Jim always wanted. Not only did it have new things to discover, but it also had people to discover with. Jim saw Black scientists. There were others who looked like him, and they loved science too. He finally found a place where he belonged. So when the summer ended and his time there was done, going back to school in Philadelphia wasn't his favorite thought. Yeah, going back to school is kind of... That fall, Jim's boss from Bell Labs called him at school. The headphones he created were now too quiet. Jim scratched his head and told his boss that he would try to fix them. With that, they sent him a train ticket. Jim tinkered and searched for what was wrong. He took the headphones apart. He tested the electrical circuit. He made sure that the electricity could flow through all the wires. He also checked that the plastic drum and the metal were getting the electrical charges they needed. When he turned everything on, the plastic drum vibrated and made a loud beep again. One time he accidentally pulled out a wire. The electricity stopped flowing, but his headphones sang out with a beep. That's funny. It shouldn't do that without electricity. A light bulb needs electricity to work. Shouldn't his headphones? Jim realized the plastic in the drum didn't need electricity to give it a charge because it was full of its own charge already. It was acting like Ben Franklin storm cloud. Jim rushed back to the library to find a book that listed materials that held electric charge. The plastic he used was one. Jim read that it was like a storm cloud, except it was a bit different. The plastic didn't let go of its charge the way a cloud did with lightning. The plastic kept its charge for years and years. That's why his headphones worked. So those are other types of like conduits or conductors. Jim was buzzing with questions. He had one that was the biggest. If this material could make sounds like a mouth, could it also hear sounds like an ear? Jim wanted to make a microphone. He knew that microphones acted like headphones in reverse. Jim ran back to the lab to find out. He tinkered and then spoke into the plastic drum. His voice sent vibrations through the air that made the drum vibrate up and down. When the drum moved up and down, the circuit gave off an electrical signal that went up and down too. He turned his voice into electricity. His new microphone worked. So he looks really happy. Jim was bursting with other ideas. He teamed up with Gerhard Sessler, who also worked on microphones. Together, they tested how well this new microphone picked up soft sounds in the world's quietest room, loud bands in auditoriums, and low rumbles from a distant rocket's boom. Microphones in old telephones made people sound like they had a sore throat, but with Jim West's microphones, voices were crystal clear. Plus, his microphones could be made smaller than a button because they didn't need big electrical parts to charge them. Soon, everyone saw how wonderful his invention was. It wasn't long before his microphones were used everywhere from toys to computers to cell phones. And it's so ironic because, like, I don't have a microphone, and I was just about to say, like, I should order a microphone or I do this reading because I didn't want to get all the background noise. When Jim West was young, no one back on that farm in Virginia approved of how he behaved or appreciated where his curiosity took him. But just a few years later, it was that same curiosity that created his. No, stop. It was that same curiosity that created his wonderful microphone, which changed how the whole wide world communicates. I guess we can read the author's note. I had the distinct pleasure of meeting Jim West when I was a newly minted scientist at Bell Labs in Murray Hill, New Jersey. He was kind enough to meet me for lunch in the cafeteria. I don't remember what we talked about, but I do remember that it felt like I was in the presence of a great man. Decades later, after the movie Hidden Figures came out, oh, I heard about that. Y'all, we gotta watch that movie. I realized that there were many Black inventors who made contributions to science and remained.
Yellow Forest.
Yeah.
Mommy, what movie?
And remained unknown to most people. It also dawned on me that I had met one. So I reached out to Jim West again, and he agreed to speak with me. In our conversations, he shared with me a wealth of knowledge, of science knowledge, but he also had advice on how to navigate the world. It was a great honor to spend time with him. My hope is that I captured his greatness, his spirit, and his tenacity as well. As the lessons I learned, he taught me it was important to remain curious. He taught me to not let anything get in the way of my curiosity. He also taught me to not let anything get in the way I'm sorry. He also taught me to not let anyone define me. We live in a world that often squelches curiosity and individuality. That is why it is important to have a role model like Jim West. All right, so I don't think I'm gonna be able to read this part just because everybody is like tapping me and like pulling on my shirt and pulling on my shoulders. Like I can't even read this, but maybe we can go live and read this part some other time. But that was Spark, y'all. It's a
One.
cool book.
We got one.
Yeah, there were a lot more people watching earlier.
Yeah, there was like 4.